Call the April 13th Preble Town Board meeting to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have a couple guest speakers tonight. We are going to start with Tricia. Help me with the last name. Heemstra. Cortland County Planning to discuss pro-housing. And Tricia, whenever you're ready.
Sure.
I'll move my head.
Okay. So I've met some of you, but not all of you. But for those that I hadn't met before, my name's Tricia Heemstra. I've been with the planning department for about 6 or 7 years now. And Chris Jenkins is he's our GIS specialist. So we handle a lot of different things for the county. Everything we work with our grant administrator, Morgan, and with our EDC IDA on economic development and grants, but we work mostly with municipalities. We help with comprehensive planning, zoning regulation updates. We can also help in conjunction with Morgan on small grant applications, parks and rec. And as the name kind of describes, it's all about planning. Like we look at what's in the future. I think we're like the best county department actually, because we don't actually have to dwell on some of the negativities that are happening right now. We get to envision what we want things to look like in the future and figure out what we need to do to be able to get there. So a lot of that getting there includes knowing what's coming down the pipeline, knowing where the state and the federal government is coming with grant opportunities right now, because 9 times out of 10, that's the only way in local government we can afford to do some of the projects that we want to do, is through partnering, using some small local matches and leveraging our local funding with grant opportunities. And pro-housing is a designation that has come from the state that we'll go through, but this is an initiative that we're really trying to communicate to all the municipalities in Cortland County how important it is to take a look and decide if pro-housing is right for you, because you're not going to be able to really capitalize on some of those grant opportunities unless you become a pro-housing community. Whether we like it or not, this is a state designated feature that has kind of become a gateway to be able to access some of those funds. So we can talk a little bit about that. And Chris put together an awesome presentation that'll provide some more detailed information. We'll go through really quick. So like we know, Cortland County is not alone with this housing crisis. This is across the board. And it doesn't really discriminate any income level, any type of housing. There's shortages. But Chris had some really great statistics that he pulled recently just to give us an idea of what's going on. This is the median sale price of homes in Cortland County. Just from 2012 to 2025, they've almost doubled the median household income. So also providing some challenges in our housing markets. And then you can also see what's really important is the inventory of houses that are for sale. There was as recently as 2012 and 13, almost 3,000 houses would be on the market at any given time. And today we're looking at, 500, 600, and this is county-wide statistics too. And, if Preble's ever interested, it's very simple. We'd be more than happy to break down any statistics for you guys to be able to evaluate and think about as well. So houses are in short supply. They're significantly more expensive. This is paralyzing our market and hurting individuals that are, in the home buying experience. And Chris actually created a survey that's been completed by quite a few residents of the county, and it's been really interesting. We're just starting to analyze the outcome of that survey, and we're working on a housing needs assessment right now. And so you could stay tuned, and we can definitely share that housing needs assessment with you when we're done. But it's really discussing what the barriers are to individuals. we're asking people, if you're not a homeowner, why aren't you a homeowner? Or if you are in a house, do you like your house? Do you want to stay there? Or would you prefer to live somewhere else? But there's barriers that are preventing you from getting there. So, so that's kind of a snapshot of what we're seeing. So then what happened was in July of 2023, Governor Hochul signed this executive order directing state agencies, authorities, and entities to prioritize the allocation of funds to municipalities that promote the construction of housing. So what this did is it really said to communities, if you want to receive grant funding, you have to take a look at your housing stock, and you have to decide if you want to become a pro-housing designated community. We were really nervous of what this was going to look like at first. Like, oh my gosh, can the state really basically mandate that communities like have to grow a certain amount in order to receive grant funding? But we were happy to see that it was a pretty low threshold, really, for becoming a pro-housing community. But you can kind of see the importance. This goes over really some of the grants that you cannot apply for unless you are a pro-housing designated community, such as, Homer had to become pro-housing in order to receive the DRI. Marathon just was awarded a New York Forward award, and they would not have been awarded that if they were not a pro-housing designated community. There's also lots of other Empire State Development or ESD funds, homes and community renewals. Some of you have heard of HCR. They also have lots of other funding available, and these are just some examples. And at first, it was just a few of the heavy hitters, but now we're seeing that the state is mandating the pro-housing designation for more and more grants. So in order to be able to get the certification, there's two different options that you can go through. And most communities track their permits through their code enforcement officer, how many permits are designated or allocated every year. So so basically you have to submit your GIS format, submit your zoning map. And that's something that we can do, we can provide. And then submit your zoning code. Again, that's something that we can provide. And then provide your building permit information from the last 5 years. In that first option, the community does have to show a growth of supplied building permits of only 0.33%. So generally, this is happening everywhere. That's usually not a hard goal to obtain, or 1% in the last 3 years. So that's the first option, or the second option, which we've seen to be more, this one is more common. Most of the other municipalities are providing a zoning map, the zoning code, just building permit information from the last 5 years. So if you think maybe we haven't hit that 1% growth with building permits, that's okay. All you have to do is then submit a resolution, which the template is found here. Just a resolution, saying that these are goals that you do want to work toward. And I think that we're seeing this kind of growth happen naturally in a lot of communities, regardless. But there's infrastructure grant opportunities, there's home repair grant opportunities through USDA. And again, a lot of these are being funneled through state agencies that are now requiring this pro-housing designation. Whether we like it or not, it's kind of hamstringing a lot of communities. And on the one hand, it's at a commitment point, there's paperwork on the front end, but I think the initial goal is to really bring to light to communities to start thinking about how we are going to need more housing. Everything is showing a need for housing, and we're not going to have our children or our grandchildren stay in this community if they can't afford housing. and if there are no housing options for them. So this designation does need to be renewed every year, and it's just providing additional information and an annual update on your building permit information. And they do. I say there are a lot of state websites that are not great, but the Pro Housing website is like one of the best ones that they have available. They have a dashboard where you can see exactly who in the county. You can zoom right in and you can see who is a pro housing designated community. And so far right now in Portland County, there's 4. There's Marathon, McGraw, Portlandville, and the city of Portland. So what we're trying to do is come talk to all the other municipalities to make sure people know. And it's not just if the town of Preble wants to get a grant, if the Girl Scout camp wants to get a grant, if there's other entities in town, if a local business wants to get a grant, right, wrong, or indifferently, this also could be holding back other businesses or other not-for-profits that might be in town to not be able to access that funding. So there's the list of, there's a couple different resources, and you can check out the state's website, the Pro Housing Designated website. And we're happy to help anybody who's interested in this. Of course, it's each municipality's decision. If this is something you would like to pursue, we're happy to help with it. But with eyes wide open that it is limiting your options for funding at this time. And that's basically the long and short of it. Does anybody have any questions?
A couple.
Sure.
Who are we submitting this to get certified pro housing?
So this is Homes and Community Renewal. HCR is a state entity that is administering this program.
And they just want new home startups, right? They don't want to know how many decks we got built in the town.
No.
Right. Yeah. It's just
Right.
new homes.
Right.
New home
Yeah.
construction.
New home construction. Yep.
Anybody else?
So is it, I guess I worry a little bit with the state mandated program like this. What's the downside of being a pro housing community?
So there's no downside at this point. I don't think they're gonna. I think they, like a lot of the different programs, they want to know information, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they want to know. They want to be able to see. They want to be able to track and identify. Okay, we know there's this housing crisis. Everybody is telling us this. So maybe we can kind of leverage. I'm sure leveraging the grant funding to they want to see. Are you, zoning out new construction wholeheartedly, kind of thing? Like, are there barriers being created? And I think that really, there's nothing they're doing right now other than just looking at what's in place, looking at how many people are building, so they can start to keep the data and track. Like, okay, we've got this much growth, and then start putting the grant funding into these programs and seeing, is there an uptick? And I think they're trying to create this baseline of like how many new home construction projects are happening right now. But if we start allocating funding through these different sources, is there an uptick? Can we see a positive impact on this? Or is this really not achieving the goal that we want to hit at the end of the day? So
How does it affect agricultural easements and set aside, stuff that goes into these agricultural easements?
So like the USDA and then the ag and market easements are going to be totally independent of any of the pro housing. You won't be hamstringed by not being able to get easements if you're not a pro housing community. Those will always stay separate for sure. But there's
a conflict between the two.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of conflicts in state priorities, I think. But there's going to, but most of the easements don't allow for subdivision and new construction. So 100%. I think what we've been hearing from the state is there's a lot of things, and this is more on the county as well. In our environmental health department, we have that 2.4 acre minimum lot size. If you're not on municipal water and septic, like water and sewer. And I think that the state is really asking all of us to take a look, like, where does that 2.4 come from? Of course, there's Department of Health offsets for your well from your neighboring property and your well and septic distance offsets. But is infill, is increased density in certain areas an option? Or should there be locations to look at municipal water, municipal sewer, so that there can be an increased density? There's a lot of younger families don't want the 4, 5, 10, 20 acre lots. They're running around with their kids and they want a quarter of an acre, a half an acre, and they want to, be able to mow with a push mower and not have to stress about a ton of maintenance. Or, they want accessory dwelling units. A lot of people, it's been a hot topic in a lot of different municipalities, but more and more multi-generational living, is the only way, a lot of families can kind of get by. Now people are taking care of their grandparents because long-term care is really hard to find. So they want to be able to build. They don't want to have their parent in their own house. They want to be able to turn, their garage into a little apartment. And so updating zoning and looking at allowing and making flexibility for some of those things is just something that I think is being discussed to be able to help solve some of these issues, to move grandma out of the big farmhouse that she can barely maintain and is kind of falling apart, and build an apartment onto the house and move her in so that big farmhouse can be taken care of by a younger family that has the energy and to be able to fix it up and maintain it and needs all that space for 3 or 4 kids. It's kind of starting to rotate that stock and be able to, have, and this pro housing designation is kind of lighting that fire and starting that conversation in the municipalities as well. Like, what does this mean? And you can read through that resolution and see if any of that resonates with you. See if you like what the resolution says, and then talk about what you think that means for Preble and what you want that to look like in Preble. If you want to evaluate any of those changes as you're looking at your zoning, or if you like it the way it is. I mean, it's home rule law. That's for Preble to decide. But I think this is the state recognizing we've got an issue. We all need to be a part of the solution. And right, wrong, or indifferently, you're not going to get this grant funding, and people in your community aren't going to get this grant funding unless you start having the conversation and enter into this program, which as of right now is not a huge commitment. It's providing basically your building permits and just providing the data. That's what it is right now, and that's what it has been for the last 3 or 4 years. And we have not heard of any larger commitments that they're going to mandate on top of it.
So don't you think it's a little unfair that we get hamstringed if there's not lots available to do this new building in?
Well, so
that seems to be the biggest problem right now is there's no building lots.
Well, that's the nice part about, that's why they have that second option. If you don't have any growth, that's okay too. You don't have to show growth with option number 2. You just have to pass the resolution if that resonates with you, if you're okay with that resolution. So if you don't have the lots, that's that. If you feel like you can't grow because you don't have the lots, that's where the conversation can start of, why don't we have the lots? Is it the minimum lot size? Do people not want smaller lots? Do you want to maintain the sizes of the lots the way they are? Or would some people like to subdivide the back lawn or the side yard and sell that piece of property, you know, and increase the amount of options or the amount of stock? That's, you know, all dependent, I'm sure, on like the specific area, and also that's dependent on what's allowable in the zoning, or you know what the ZBA would find leniency for or find acceptable.
Trisha, could they, you said you have to submit the 3 things.
Mhm.
Is there anything in our, like, could they review the zoning code
Mhm.
and say, no, because zoning code appears to be too restrictive for new housing? No. Okay.
No, that's not their goal, right?
Okay,
Like, yeah. We haven't heard of one case where there hasn't been one case.
So you just submit that
Mm-hmm.
and the permits
Yep,
and
just submit.
pass a resolution if that's
The carrot for the data is really what
I,
this is about.
yeah.
pretty much.
Anybody else? All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Trisha.
No problem. And if anybody wants, we can
Thanks,
send a link to this. We'll send a link to the presentation if anybody wants, so that they can have live links off of the resources at the bottom.
Thank you. I will call the board's attention to the investment policy. Yeah, part of the conversation. So I think last month or the month before, talked about learning more about what options we might have for our deposit accounts and how we might be able to do better with funds that aren't allocated. They're not being spent in the next 30, 60, 90 days. So I spoke to Jamie Reynolds at NBT about what options we might have. He graciously volunteered to come talk to us about maybe some ways that we can do a little better on our deposit accounts. So I will turn it over to Jamie. And Jamie, thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'll stand over here as well. That's all right. But, thanks for having me. I had to look it up, but it was summer of 2023. I was here one night and kind of had a similar kind of introduction. And I know Nate said there's a few new people here, so thought it'd be good to have me come over. I'm your government banking rep for the town of Preble, as well as Cortland County, and I cover a territory, so I'm not always in Preble, but I'm in Cortland County quite frequently. So, but I'm part of our government banking department, which we've had for about 75 years. I've been at the bank for 37, not all in government banking, but in lots of different areas. And in the last probably 8, I guess I've been in government banking. And it's been my hat. So, so it's something that NBT has had. Even, of course, NBT is here, I guess, because of one was the Alliance merger. I guess I had one of our branch managers here. They probably know exactly, but it was probably 12, 15 years ago, I guess, when NBT bought Alliance. Anyway, NBT is headquartered in Norwich, so we're a community bank. When I started way back when, we were in 3 counties and had 17 branches, and now we've grown. And I couldn't help but listen to your presentation, thinking about one of the counties where I work. I mean, they have the same population they have 150 years ago, and some element of growth obviously needs to happen. Well, the bank's grown. If the bank hadn't grown, we wouldn't be here probably either. And to some extent, you have to have a certain element of growth. I started in the bank as a Cornell grad. I was in our farm department, and I went around to a lot of 35 cow farms back then. And we don't have too many 35 cow farms anymore. So anyway, I've been on different economic development boards and chambers. And so I really do enjoy coming and hearing something from other folks as well. And I was at Tully I don't know, about a year and a half ago, I showed up to meet, and there was about 150 cars in the parking lot and on the lawn. One of the TV stations was there, and I was going, holy geez. I said, I didn't know banking was that exciting, but I guess there was a windmill project that you probably know about. And after they broke the fire code and had to postpone it, 90% of the people left and got to listen to me. So the other 10%. Anyway, but I wanted you to know we have a government banking department that's specific, to your needs, and our, specialists really in for any of those. They're new, there's a lot of things to learn. But relative to your deposits, in 2008 till about 2019, interest rates were about nothing. We were worried about, recession, and the Fed brought rates down to basically zero to try to promote growth to ward off a recession, and they largely did. However, they did keep rates a little too long at zero, and then had to inflation kicked in, and then rates went up rapidly, which has some impact on what we've seen, the parallel of the housing prices and whatnot. But at any rate, inflation has come back down to some extent, almost where they want it to be, really. But since they started addressing inflation, rates went up rapidly to slow down the economy, to temper inflation. And the bad news for lending, rates went up to borrow to slow down the economy. The good news, if you have money, it did raise the deposit rates. So there was margin again in the yield curve. So I think it was in 23, I first talked about our ICS product that we had, to those of you who were here back then. And the rates today are still about 3.5% on that ICS product that we have. And what that is, it's basically, well, let me back up. As a municipality, every nickel you have over what FDIC insurance covers, as a bank, we have to collateralize your deposits. You probably get those Bank of New York statements. Somebody does here, and that covers every penny above FDIC insurance, so that public funds are never at risk. So our ICS product is a partnership with a company called Intrafee, and what they do, they aggregate funds from member banks. We're one of about 2,000 banks in the country that are members of Intrafee. And if you open one of these ICS accounts, you put the money in an account at MBT, and we would immediately sweep it to Intrafee to place with other member banks in basically FDIC insurance blocks. So basically $250,000 blocks. So if easy example, you have $1 million, 4 banks would have 250 in them. It's actually like 247 or something. So your interest doesn't put you over. So that, basically your money is being covered by the FDIC insurance of these member banks. And then these member banks in turn send their customers money back to NBT. It's called the reciprocal arrangement, so that we're made whole. I call it a different dollar bill, but basically the 250 goes out, the 250 comes back, and in this case, $1 million. So that, instead of us collateralizing your deposits of that $1 million, you're now covered by 4 banks of using their FDIC insurance. So because we free up our collateral, we can pay a higher rate, because the collateral costs us money. We have to basically pledge treasuries to cover those. And the treasuries, we can't use that money to do anything else.
To lend in the private sector, right? Okay.
What's that?
It frees you up to lend in the private sector.
Well, it frees those dollars up now that we can redeploy, in the housing project or whatever, So it keeps the money in the community too, because it reciprocates back. So it's not us just sending money out and, taking it out of the community. That's not what we want to do as a community bank. And in fact, it's mandated under New York State Muni law for municipalities. This product has to be reciprocating. It's also available for commercial businesses, and it doesn't have to reciprocate, but on the municipal side, it does. So at any rate, that's the gist of how it works. It's if you were going to participate in it, you'd open an account. That account would act as the conduit to Intrafee. It will never have any money in it. It basically is a to and fro type of account. whether you were depositing to put money into IntraFee, or if you needed it back, you would basically transfer from the zero balance account, which is attached to IntraFee, brings it back to your general account or to your highway account or whatever one you have. You can have more than one, because I know you have to separate highway and you from general or from T&A or whatever the account you wanted to use. I've got schools that have 12 or 15 of them. Most people have one or two, and that way you can keep it compartmentalized and your record keeping straight. But you can earn about 1% more than you're earning today on your surplus money, and it doesn't have a minimum balance. A lot of municipalities are seasonally, flush after tax season, and then like a school, sometimes they even borrow before the state aid kicks in or whatever. So there's no, you're basically, some are zero even for times of the year, but then after tax season, they have quite a bit. So it's flexible in that regard. And it's also completely transparent and workable within your online banker. So if you're whoever is accustomed to looking online and looking at your accounts, this would be an account you can see, and you can see the money. It's even though it's going out, we put a shadow account basically on there, plus the zero balance account you can see on your online banker. So it's, even though it sounds like its money is leaving, it's still, NBT is the driver of it. We're the member of the network, so you can basically see your balances and print off a board report or whatever you wanted to do. So it's daily interest credited monthly. So like I said, I think today it's a variable rate, just like any money market, like the money market you have. But so we tend to just adjust it when the Fed moves. So like when the Fed meets 10 times a year to adjust policy based on which way they want interest rates to go, that's when we would look at it as well and probably react within a couple of weeks. So it's not something that's going to change daily, unless the Fed decides to meet daily and adjust rates that quick, which they don't. So that's the basics of it. I got some handouts here which have some frequently asked questions and a little flyer on IntraFee that I'll leave with you, so you can look at it at your leisure, I guess, without taking a lot more time on that. But the other thing I always want to mention too when I meet with folks is just the amount of fraud that's available and out there today. It's hitting, you're not hiding in Preble anymore. If you're online, if you write a check, your information's out there, and we do have fraud preventive type stuff that you should, at least be aware of. We have a product called Positive Pay, where if you're going to send checks out, you prove checks tonight probably, right? You write checks tomorrow. You would send us an issuance file telling NBT that you wrote these checks, and then we match them up when they clear. And if there's a difference in those checks, and I'm simplifying here a little bit, then we alert you and say, okay, this check was 10,000, it's coming through at 100,000. Somebody had a zero. Should we pay it or not? And you can say, don't pay it. So it's you could make it payable to an individual, Joe Smith, and somebody changes it to John Smith or something, things like that. Those are, I'm really simplifying all the potential fraud out there. When I started, we had one guy that basically did security and fraud, and I think he was in charge of the bank fleet cars and, walked the lobby once in a while. We've got 45 people in our fraud department now. The county, you know what I'm talking about. So as an individual, your credit card company, almost everybody in this room probably had something happen at one point where they had to respond to a potential fraud issue. I know I have, and it's not much fun, but that's the world we're in. So anyway, there's techniques you can use, and again, we can talk more specifically, at a different time if you want to hear more about that. But you should be protecting your money to the extent you can. Within Online Banker, there's alerts you can set up that alert. I think there's like 35 different alerts, and you can say one of them you can put a minimum. I want to alert every time a check is presented over, pick a number, $10,000. It'll alert you so that you can say, "Yep, I wrote that check." But it's just another free thing you can do. And for municipalities, even the positive pay, we generally don't charge for that either, because there's a pricing to it that if you were a business, you would probably absorb and be happy to do it. But for munis, if they bank with us, if fraud happens, doesn't matter whose fault it is, there's no winners. And we include ourselves in that. We don't want it to happen either. So that's the, as quick as I can, telling you about ICS and with a quick thing on fraud and who we are, I guess. Here's some, I printed off 8 without knowing how many were coming here, so you can pass around the 2 different things here if you'd like. And take those home for nighttime reading, I guess. But we talked about bonding as well. I should just mention that. One of the things I do for our municipalities, I also am involved on the borrowing side. So if you were going to borrow for a snowplow or a highway truck or a fire truck or just needed cash flow or you wanted to even be a little speculative in economic development and buy a lot. I mean, those are all things that I do on a regular basis as well, as far as helping finance those kind of things. Because in New York State, you can't just go out and get a loan like you or I would. You have to bond, which means you issue debt. And it's an investment, and then we would buy that investment. But I oftentimes sit down, like we did a little bit there on the phone one day, and talk about, okay, what are the ways to structure something? You can hire a fiscal advisor and pay for it. I don't charge either. So I've done it a lot. So, I kind of know the different ways to approach things, the pros and cons, what you need. Some are more flexible than others, that kind of thing. So as you approach, you want to be housing. It sounds like the price of admission. You need to be one of these housing things now, right? If you wanted to start a small housing complex, apartment complex, whatever. It sounds like you might need to do that, and you might need to get it shovel ready. So maybe you would do something. I've done those before, kind of thing. So, but it's up to you, obviously, what the town wants to do, regarding that. But I just wanted to share that, like from a borrowing standpoint, that's also a piece I do, mainly just for our customers. We don't. If you're not a customer, we save our gunpowder for our customers, I guess, for that type of activity. So, any quick questions or?
Is there any restrictions that we should be aware of on access to funds that we would put into the ICS?
The ICS is completely liquid. It's a liquid product, no different than your current money market. So the only difference is you access it through this zero balance account through your online banker. So instead of going,
but it doesn't require
bank,
active management to transfer.
Yeah, whoever's your admin
bookkeeper.
for online banker, maybe that's you, maybe it's, I don't know who it is here, but they have the rights to look in the accounts or to move money. All you would do is an online transfer, and if you did that today, the money would be in there tomorrow. So I have some big school districts. They literally manage it on a payroll basis. So they're moving money, just to make that return on, the weekly or biweekly pay, but because they have, $100,000 payrolls, kind of thing. So it's worth their while to try to make money on it. But I also have smaller towns that use it like a reserve account. They park it there and they know they're going to buy a new snowplow in 5 years, so they only kind of add to it, so it could be used either way. Some of those, they use it so infrequently, only putting money in, they have to call me when they do need it finally, because they've never done it before, but that's fine. But any other quick questions on that? I should say it's been approved under New York State municipal law for since 2012. So the only thing I don't know what your investment policy says, if you have one,
Not yet.
but
There's a draft on the table.
okay. Well, if your draft says any legal New York State deposit, you're covered. I've had some want to put it in specifically. I think more so just to make sure the board was on board, so to speak. But it's a legal New York State deposit. It's covered in that as a deposit placement agreement is the term that's used in the policy. So if you look at that document that the comptroller puts out, I think it's page 14 or 15 talks about it. I can send you that if you want. I've done that before. I even helped craft board resolutions, I guess. But we probably have 800 million in this product, and probably close to 400 of that is in municipalities. So we've got quite a bit of it. You're not the first clam bake here. There's a lot of your neighbors and our customers that utilize this. It's been really popular the last, I'll say, 4 to 5 years since there's been margin again. Nobody worried about splitting hairs when rates were zero. But now you can, you could pay for your board salaries here, I guess. And when everything goes up, it's nice to be able to find a little something else, right, that you didn't have to help cover the bills. So anyway, any other questions?
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right,
I appreciate
I'll give you my
making the trip over.
card. Well, that's fine. I made a couple stops while I was over here today. There's one. One to you. All right. Very good. Give me a holler if you have any questions afterwards, all right?
Absolutely. Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much. Good night.
Have a good night.
Redeposit on section 8.
We still have that.
Section 8, subsection A.
Got it out of the museum.
There's other options.
We do. Say that again.
There's other ways to handle it if it's excess of FDIC, but entry fee is a redeposit program covered by 8 subsection 8, subsection A.
Gotcha. Okay. So we'll come back to the investment policy under a little later under unfinished business, but we're going to do committee reports now. Jen?
Dog control, no report received. Justice report fines collected in February, $5,853.
I'm gonna do Jeff's road report, highway report. He wasn't here. He wasn't able to be here tonight. So he said the salt request for next season is due at the end of April. The heavy rains on March 31st did some damage as the fields are all mud and there are no leaves on the trees to slow the water down. The worst damage was on East Hill Road, Vermald Road, I knew I was going to say that wrong, and Foley Road. On the equipment, the 2019 Ram wiper motor is on national back order. He's trying to get an aftermarket motor to work. He is pulling the last sander tomorrow. Everything will be switched for summer use. He is trying a slightly different salt neutralizer and rust preventative process this year. And the permissive referendum, you know the last date? He wanted us to confirm the
It
end
was
date.
posted on April 7th, so according to my math, day 30 would be May 7th.
Okay, so if we don't get any
Yep.
opposition to that, that will go in effect on May 7th. Spectrum, he talked to Lisa, Vanessa, and Martina from Verizon last week. All of them state there were no PIN numbers attached to our Verizon account. The permit inspection went well. Some personnel, John Hartnett started back for the summer. Jeff, Jordan, and Mike took the required UDIG training, and they will be taking the required harassment and discrimination training on the 23rd. And he wanted me to remind everyone that the Preble Amnesty Days are April 24th and 25th this year. And that should do it.
Recreation, Smitty?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe there'd be someone from the committee here. I guess there was a meeting last Tuesday and I missed the text. There's one this next Tuesday. I'm gonna do my best to be there, but I'm just getting things rolling.
I'll call and remind you. How's that?
Okay,
Okay.
well, if you can't get me, just leave a message on the.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be out away from the house pretty much for quite a while. Go out on the recreation field.
Mm-hmm. You ready to start mowing?
No, I haven't started mowing, but.
No, I said, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You gotta get the water hooked up and stuff like that. There's a lot of little things to do. We're doing this week.
Coming quick.
Oh, believe it, believe it.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is Kevin here?
I did not see him.
I did not. So there's no, Kevin Fitch is not here this evening, or not here yet. If he does show up, I will circle back to him. Zoning and code enforcement, I'm not gonna read all that. Ben had 30 hours last month, and he has itemized each of his open and active inspections and permits. Planning board meeting Wednesday, April 22nd at 7. ZBA meeting Thursday, May 7th at 7. No report from the historian. Town clerk,
Fees collected in March, $101. Dispersed $91 to the town of Preble and $10 to New York State Ag and Markets.
unfinished business, town credit card. I signed up for a debit card because they could do that right away. I just had to make sure which account I was supposed to use, so I got the answer I needed from Gina. And I can apply for a card. I have to go into the branch to do that. So that, I know that goes back to like January. So it's been a process. Previously, we discussed updating Tom Gath's contract for the website and some of the services he's provided and improve, and we want him to improve. So John had a couple questions about the contract, which we have rectified to his satisfaction and to mine. So we are ready, if we are willing, to accept the proposal from Tom Gath to continue and improve his services to the town website. So the updated contract was in your packet, and we could wrap that up tonight if somebody wants to make a motion.
Did the cost go up on that, or
It went up from $100 a month.
Well, it didn't go up. He kind of
He added.
did it a little bit differently so that he was going to collect some upfront costs up front, because he wanted it a 3-year term, remember, and he couldn't have it a 3-year non-cancelable term. So he put a little bit of the contract up front, and then because it can be canceled, it still works out to be the same amount per year. It's just how it's billed changed to meet municipal law. And, this proposal is about making sure the town's website and email systems are secure, reliable, dependable for the people that use them every day. The residents rely on the website for meeting information, public documents, but the agreement also improves cybersecurity, ensures daily and off-site backups of public records, and reduce the risk of outages. or data loss. So it's more than just a website update. I just want everyone to know that. He's going to make everyone have preble.newyork.gov domain addresses, which is improves public trust, and it identifies legitimate town communications, and it all gets backed up. And that has everybody, that hasn't been done in years. And it modernizes our technology in a responsible way and protects our information and makes sure that residents have access to all the website information of the town. So it's not just the website and emails. He's really making it secure. Oh, and I'm going to say the price didn't go up. I'm sorry. Price didn't go up from the last version, but it did go up from what he hadn't updated it in 10 years. So the fee had gone up.
That's what.
But it
that's what I
wasn't,
was
I'm
referring
sorry,
to.
it hadn't gone up from the last. I thought he asked if it went up from the last.
From the last
But
what we
it
talked about 2 months ago.
It did not.
See this?
Can I read it?
What's that? Yeah. Right up. So which one we gonna go with? Are we gonna go with the $1,800 and $250 a month, or we're gonna go to $3,000 annually?
Oh, no, that's $250 a month it works
Or.
out to be the same.
All right. I make the motion, we accept the proposal submitted by Edge Web Services.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What's that? Michelle's going to give us an update on the Community Engagement Committee.
We had our first meeting last Tuesday that Smitty said he missed, but I'll make sure he gets to them. It was a great meeting, talking about things we can start doing for the town. I think we're going to try to do our first thing in June, right, Betty Ann?
Yeah.
We're going to try to do a strawberry ice cream social, possibly with a band, a night in June in the Preble Park. So there was a lot of great ideas at the table, and I'm looking forward to the things that the committee comes up with.
Apple Valley Wheelers.
CD.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over it. I'm sorry. So the community development block grant update that we were awarded last year. Jen and Michelle, through force of will, got us the executed grant documents in on time. We got all the paperwork in that we needed. That was a huge undertaking, honestly, like more difficult than you can imagine. So Jen and Michelle got that done, and all the documents have been submitted. We're on time with everything, so that we're on schedule. And go ahead and add something to that.
Yeah, and the RFP is due at the end of the week on Friday. So hopefully we will get some responses and work in the next month. And so by the next board meeting, we will award the RFP contract to administer the grant by the May meeting. So the deadline is this Friday.
What's the RFP?
Oh, it's a request for proposal, Janet, that says we put out what we need them to do to help us administer the grant, and they give us a proposal.
Okay.
And
I
so,
know I've talked to Toma only to find out because I wanted to make sure I didn't get, lost in the shuffle.
nope,
No,
we
said
haven't started
They
yet.
had just done Cortland not long ago and they were hoping to be through with us by the end of April. I'm hoping too.
Yeah, we haven't picked anyone yet. We don't know if it's going to be Toma. We're waiting to see. There could be a group of people, and then we'll have to score each one of them separately, and then
And then
Pick
we'll
the
get the
appropriate-
applications.
and
correct?
then the whole process will start. Yes, so it
So
won't
you're
start until May.
anticipating it will be until how long before anything gets like
Well,
officially resolved?
the proposals are due this Friday.
Yeah.
My goal would be to have them scored in on the May meeting agenda. And then that person won the bid, they will be administering the grant and start the process. So late May, early June, we'll start taking applications and working that whole process out. But not until like
It'll
at
be
least,
winter again pretty soon.
what?
It'll soon be winter again before we start anything.
Well, it's
Oh, my
it's
poor
a,
roof. Yeah.
we'll get there, we promise.
Is there any time limit on that grant money?
2020, I think it ends 2027.
Is
We're not
when
behind.
it
I mean,
expires?
we
No,
got
that's
it
when it
in
can start,
January.
right?
We're
Schedule.
totally on
so I was
schedule.
just wondering if there's
But
an
there is-
expiration
there
date.
is.
There is. It's like
There
it's 2027. I can look in my book.
The schedule that we had to submit last week.
This is what we started, and we haven't even started it yet. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Completion deadline, January 10th, 2028.
What's gonna happen in January?
That's when it has to be done by. So we have 2 years. So we have all of 26 and all of 27.
The process or the actual?
No. We have 2 years to complete
To complete the work.
the execution of the grants and all the
work.
work. Everything should be done by then.
All the work should be. done.
Yeah,
Yes.
or
That's what
the
I'm
money
saying.
needs to
Right.
be spent by then.
So,
That's-
and I should be expecting the applications to be sent out by May to June.
June,
Or
July, I would
maybe
say.
tomorrow.
June- I would say more like
Even
June,
better.
July. Yeah, I would say more like June,
Just
July.
want to stay on top. of it.
Yeah.
We'll keep everyone updated on the website. Because we'll let you know who won the bid and
Tom
all that
Gath
fun
will.
stuff.
Oh, you're doing some of that too.
I'm learning. I'm breaking.
All right. Any other questions about the grant, the CDBG grant? Apple Valley Wheelers, we had them here, was it last month or the month before? They requested access to Curtin Road, Song Mountain Road, and the driveway to Song Mountain, which I always forget the name of. It's its own road, but 3 town roads by side or four-wheeler. They have access through Atisco. They have access in Lafayette on town roads. They want to be able to go to Song Mountain. So we had a presentation from them. 2 months went together.
Last month.
Last month. Okay. So we got their insurance information. And did you get any? Did you see anything in there? Or
I looked at the
You looked at the
insurance
insurance
before- Yeah, before me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
yeah, but they're expecting, or they need a resolution authorizing
Yeah,
them to use the town roads. So if anybody's got any concerns with that, we should discuss it.
And it's only those town roads. Those,
Yeah, they already have access to Curtin and Tully, and they're coming down. And
It was, yeah, can I just
yeah, go ahead.
travel to Stevens Road in Atisco that connects Tully, continue to Strong Road, proceed to Curtin and reaching Preble and then to Song Mountain Road and finally to Hugas. They're trying to get to Hugas.
If we grant them permission, it becomes a problem, do we have the right to reverse that?
I believe we can rescind the access
same
at
process.
any time by the
Okay.
same by resolution.
Okay.
And it-
Also, they carry the insurance indemnifying the town. They hold us harmless if there's an accident or something like that.
just similar to like snowmobile clubs and
Yeah,
And it's only May 15th, to October 1st. That's all we're authorizing it for that time period.
Oh, we got, I don't know, we're taking questions. I'll take a question. Corrine,
The reason I'm asking a question is, that one road is the Cortland County. From Curtin Road down to Song Mountain Road, that's a county road.
road down there. No, Song Mountain Road is the road you're thinking of. The
Yeah,
road to get from the bottom of Song Mountain Road up to Song Mountain actually has a different name. I'm drawing a blank.
yeah, that's Song Mountain Road going up there. What I'm saying is that down Curtin Road, the end of Curtin Road, that road going down to get to Song Mountain is the county road.
It is a county road.
Song Mountain Road.
Yes. Song
So did
Lake
they get?
Valley Road.
Because when that washed out here, or last year, county was up fixing it. Not
They
the
were-
town.
they
Yes.
were.
The big washout.
Yeah,
2 years
yeah.
ago. Maybe we gotta wait.
Or make it contingent on them getting permission from the county.
Yeah,
We can do that. We could make it
Chris-
contingent on them obtaining. That
Yeah.
that makes more sense. I mean,
We can't give permission for county road.
No, you
that's
make it
my point. It's
contingent on them.
contingent upon them obtaining permission from. Like they started with us, and then they can get they go up. You know.
It says proceed to Curtin Road, reaching the Preble end, then to Sun Mountain Road. Is that keeping them on just,
I don't know.
Preble
I don't know
roads.
there.
I don't know,
We can still make it contingent on
Stevens,
County
it's always
Road.
continued
Yeah, we
strong.
could just make it contingent
do that.
on. Yeah, we can do that.
Pass it on.
So I have a couple of concerns because I live on Sun Mountain Road. There are already a lot of four-wheelers going up and down that road. They don't wear helmets. They're not part of this club. Well, I'm not saying that, but how can you give one club permission? And then these other people are gonna think it's a free-for-all as well, more than they already do. And there's a lot of people that walk that road, people that live on our road, plus others that just love it for the exercise, for the steepness. It concerns me opening that, and I also came to talk about it being a county road, because my husband brought that up. And I came home from a Tisco today over Curtin Road. That is a mess. Like, I can't believe they would actually want to drive on it, because it's a mess.
Rough.
And it's gonna be worse if those turbines go in. Sorry, I had to get that one in there. But, yeah, there's already a lot of that traffic up there. So, like, is there intentions, do they do a ride and they do it all at once? I wasn't here for the meeting, I had another obligation.
I do recall that all of their club members have some kind of display or emblem displaying, signifying that they're part of the club. And
And they would ride as a club there and,
I think they have organized stuff, but it's club access.
gotcha.
No different. It's very similar to a snowmobile.
But the snowmobilers aren't on the road very much.
Sure they are. But
Burma
If
Road.
I could just add, Sheriff Helms, you should have a conversation with him, Cortland County Sheriff, he is adamantly opposed to this.
really,
These groups
Yeah.
have gone from
All
municipality
county
to
roads.
municipality to municipality to try to get this through, and he is adamant that it
All right.
doesn't happen. So you should make sure you probably have a conversation with him.
Because I know the county. feels
Because,
so.
and then that's the question, how will they get from this road down a county road? As far as, and all of those things, who's insured, who's licensed, who regulates it? But that may be a conversation that you have.
we could table it for now. That's fine.
And I don't care, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
we should-
Yeah.
Yeah,
he said.
One of the other questions, I don't remember the answer they gave that night too, was non-club members riding with them. I mean, are they still covered under the insurance policy?
They're club members.
They wouldn't be. And who's keeping track? I mean, it's,
It's their obligation or their.
if they're riding with non-club members, that's probably,
I don't know anything about this except the things that gets nurse to cut my ears are four-wheelers and people walking on the same spot. So how
that's true of
are
every road.
the people, what regulations protect the people from the four-wheelers, which can get a little boisterous?
We'll table.
Yeah, that's fine. We're not gonna take any action on it tonight. We'll talk to the sheriff and, I agree.
But that's a
We can
concern, I'm
investigate.
just saying.
I wouldn't distinguish. Every road has pedestrian, almost every road has pedestrians and vehicles.
Well, and many roads have sidewalks.
Where?
Yeah.
Not in this town.
Have you ever walked on Preble? You won't find one on Stager.
Yeah. Right.
But that's
All right.
okay.
We're gonna move on, but we're gonna table the Apple Valley Wheelers issue. So, rekeying the town hall was completed last month. or within the last month, so that we didn't really have a good handle on how many keys were out there, and so everybody that I'm aware of that needs one, that's authorized to have one, has one. So that's done. We can move that off the agenda. New business. At one of our office hours a few weeks back, some of the residents brought us information on a resolution called they wanted us to send a resolution to the state for an initiative called the Packaging Reduction and Recycling Infrastructure Act. It's largely performative. They're just trying to get municipalities to push the state in that direction. There was information about it, about the proposals that they have in the documents that you got tonight. So if I am not making a motion on it, but if anybody wants to discuss it or make a motion on it, they certainly can. Or if they want any further discussion on it, or we can move on.
Move on.
Move on?
Move on.
That's fine. I just wanted you to be aware of it since it was brought to us by town residents, so. All right, we're back on the investment policy. So does anybody have any concerns about taking advantage of this ICS program? I mean, it's an option that we can use it. It is authorized by the proposed investment policy that John drafted. And we don't have one, and we should. So we're not updating it. We're creating this from new. We're not scrapping an old policy. So if did anybody have any questions about what we heard tonight or about the investment policy in general? And if we want to move on it, then we can start taking advantage of that. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. I got to get it all set up. So it's going to be a process, but we got to have the investment policy in place before I take the next steps.
Are there other banks that offer this too? Are they
Yeah,
competitive and stuff?
Tompkins. I think Tompkins offers it as well, but because when I first started hearing about some of this program was at the seminar I went to for newly elected town officials in January, and she was from the Southern Tier, and she said, "We have Tompkins. I know that they do it." Or actually, I'm sorry, it was Chemung Canal. That's now I remember. It was Chemung Canal Trust that offers it. So but NBT is our bank, and they offer it. So it worked out that we were already with NBT. We wouldn't have to make a change. We would just have to set up those two more accounts that he was talking about, so that the money could get swept into the higher interest bearing accounts. We don't have a lot of money. We got a little, but I think 1% is enough to get my attention based on the town's finances. But like I said, most towns that take the time to investigate it end up doing it. It's kind of a no-brainer in my opinion. But
Yeah, they've got to check into it.
we are. I'm sorry, but as a general, the investment policy is required. We haven't had one until this point.
Has that always been that way, or is that something new, Jen?
It's not that new. General Municipal Law 39 requires municipalities to have one. I don't know when that law was enacted, but it's not brand new.
All right.
It's been in place for a while.
So probably should have been taken care of before now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
They've got to do it.
Yep.
So, So the investment policy, we're gonna go over that too.
That's what.
Okay. So that, I guess I just have a few questions in there, and it looks like the sole authority and responsibility for the investment policy is the town supervisor, or
Well, the supervisor, sorry, go ahead.
but I'm just shouldn't the board have an approval process in that to be moving funds around and
Well, that happens depending on, that changes month to month, and it changes week to week with what bills are getting paid.
right, but then he was describing that the administrator, whoever that you or Jen, when they pay bills, that that wouldn't change as far as
That process would
would not change.
No, it's just where the money's sitting in the meantime. That's what would change.
What's
And
He's talking about section 4.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, the model, this is a modified version of the model policy from the comptroller, but the state law designates the supervisor as the chief fiscal officer of the town.
mhm.
So that's in recognition of his role in CFO. That's why the model policy and any other policy you see gives substantial authority to the supervisor for that purpose.
Okay.
I mean, so the board certainly can set things by resolution, like to select by resolution, you can say, we're going to let the supervisor choose the bank. We're going to choose the bank. You can implement this by resolution, certainly.
Mhm.
But again, he is the CFO, but ultimately the policy is a board decision. It does get cumbersome when you only have one meeting a month, though.
Right.
Making things controlled by the entire town board, because you have to meet as a body with notice requirements in order to vote on things.
So what? Explain to me what monies would be in this investment policy. Would our capital fund or our capital reserve, all those funds are in that as well?
Yeah, if you look at section 3, it says the investment policy applies to all financial resources available to the town of Preble for investment on its own behalf. So, I mean, like the gentleman from MBT said, it could be, there's school districts that have enough funds for, it's literally coming in and out like a regular bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have authority over the highway funds too? I'm not sure about that.
Well,
I mean, we sign off on all the.
you are the CFO.
We're signing off all
Yeah.
the other bills, so, but we can have, but he said you should have one, at least one for the highway fund and one for the town.
The finance law, the municipal finance law
It has
does.
to require you to keep it.
Requires funds to be segregated in different accounts.
Right, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
But
we
it's still,
can have,
it's still
we
under.
can have several different accounts within
You
this.
would have to.
You're right. Yeah. So,
I mean, certainly if you want to read it, digest it, email me questions, or we can have an executive session at some point to discuss it. You don't have to, I mean, you've gone years without having it, you don't have to pass it tonight.
right.
I wouldn't delay it indefinitely, but if you're not prepared, then I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I mean, that was my biggest concern with the whole thing, is that the if we're going to be moving capital reserve funds around, if we're going to our highway funds, and
There are
the highway funds have always come through to get a board resolution to spend those
This
monies.
doesn't authorize him to spend the money, it's just where
Okay.
it's being
It's
placed.
Just where it's
Where it's being
located.
placed and it's earning interest.
Also, the
Yeah.
money's getting moved around all the time as it is. It's
Okay.
going into a money market account. This is instead of a money market, it's going through the ICS program.
Okay.
It's literally where you park the money in between paying bills.
Yeah, just
You
make it
get
clear,
a
this
little
doesn't
more money.
increase his authority or his oversight over anything really beyond. It just allows him
Right.
to designate where the money is being kept. You still ultimately have to approve the checks.
Okay. And it's it's not that I don't trust Nate. It's that
No,
we're
I
writing this policy, and it's going to apply to the next town supervisor and the one after
No, I
that as
understand.
well.
It jumps off the page, especially
Yeah.
as a board member, as a former board member, someplace else,
Yeah.
I get it. But again, this doesn't increase his authority. It's just saying, we can put the money in this type of account, and he's the person as a CFO that designates that account, but it's still sitting in a bank, and you all still have the authority over how it's spent. He doesn't give him any unilateral authority he doesn't already have, really.
Okay. And then there was one other thing in here that I just had a question on 10. That 9, what's all those, what do all those numbers refer to?
You
Obligation.
have to look at those.
But there's no 6D, there's no 6E.
So there is a 6. What's that? There's
There's a 6, but there's no,
I'll have to look at, I don't remember how the entire GML. off
see,
the top
there's
of my head.
6. And it refers to 6D, E, G, H, J, K, L.
Yeah, that's from the model policy for the controller. I don't have all those memorized.
Okay.
I'd have to go to the GML.
I was just wondering what it all, you know, because it talks about monies that are reserved fund established pursuant to
Right.
that municipal law. And so I don't know, you know,
Like I said,
what money, if we have any of those monies.
You probably don't, but you
Okay.
may in the future. So since it's part of the model, it's just it's if the control, you know, if it's part of the model policy, as a general rule, it's a good idea to include it. If you don't have it now, you may have it in the future. Best practice would not be to pick and choose things like that.
Right. Anybody else have any questions on it?
No. What's that?
Anybody else have questions on it?
I still went through reading it, so. No.
Do you want more time with this, or I mean, are you comfortable with moving ahead?
We'll give you an example. General Municipal 6I, what you notice isn't in there, it's airport development and amortization funds.
Okay.
6K, electric utility depreciation reserve. You don't have you're not
Okay.
Solvay Electric.
Right.
We got rid of our airport when my grandfather died.
But you know, 6M's an insurance reserve fund, 6M's an unemployment insurance payment reserve fund. 6D is repair reserve funds for municipal corporations, school districts, et cetera. So I mean, these are all things.
Just don't apply
Okay.
to us.
Well, yeah, well, you might. Well,
mow it,
you might
didn't
you?
eventually. I don't think you're gonna have an airport or an electric company anytime soon, but maybe.
I used to mow the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah, before school. Yeah. It was the only lawn I had I could mow before 6 a.m. So. All right. Yeah. So I'd like to get this get this going, but if somebody wants to do, Mike, if you want more time.
No,
or-
I just had those couple questions,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I appreciate the questions.
So does anybody want to make a motion to?
I'll make a motion to, accept the investment policy, start moving forward.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. The post office lease is coming up for renewal or not in October. So if we're gonna make a change there or not make a change, we should they need to know. And I asked the rep for the post office that handles their leases reaches out to me like every 3 weeks. So I think we should let the post office lease expire for a couple of reasons. They pay $800 a month, which I think is drastically low. I don't think it's an amount that's going to affect our bottom line one way or another. Our building is ready for some updates, specifically the ADA, and we can't comply without a massive renovation cost with the keeping the post office there. If we have that space, we can repurpose it. I had an engineer here on Wednesday last week to go over how it might work if we wanted to go in that direction. We can get ramps. We can repurpose the back steps by their overhead door. There's room for a ramp. We did the measurements. Additionally, Paul Sheneman and my discussion was, how do we get an ADA bathroom? There's plenty of room in that space to put an ADA bathroom. It would also allow us to eliminate the 2 bathrooms we have and repurpose those spaces. Specifically for one, the town justice needs a file room separate from our files. They don't have one. You can't move in that office. If you've ever been in there, 2 people can barely stand in there. The boxes are piled up like this. So having a locked file room across from the clerk's office seems to me to make the most sense. It would potentially, the other room I was thinking possibly the historian's office. He's got his own records. I think it's important for us to protect that stuff. The ramp issue, the bathroom issues, and not to mention the drastically needed facelift that I think the town hall needs. The other thing it's going to allow us to do is, it's been we've discussed previously the concerns for Jen when people are coming to have issues with the court, and Jen's the only one here. It's putting her in what could, I don't think it has been, but what could be a dangerous situation. I know it's made her extremely uncomfortable several times, where we would be able to repurpose some of that space. We can fix up that space, move some offices in there, Jen's office, the code enforcement office, the town assessor's records and office. That could be another option for the other bathroom, the assessor's stuff. It would allow us to open this back up and have a full meeting room. It would give us space to meet New York state law on the judicial side. If we ever have to have a trial, or when we have to have a trial, both attorneys need separate rooms to meet with their clients. You need a jury deliberation room. We cannot accommodate all that stuff. That is, I believe, state law, and we're not compliant with any of it. So I think this is the best solution to solving a lot of those problems. So it was said, well, how much is the ADA? Like, everybody, I think, is aware, American Disabilities Act, that stuff can be expensive. So I had a long walk around and discussion with engineer Paul Sheneman, who's done lots of work for the town in the past. He's been the town engineer in the past. And we think we can, now I'm not including for this discussion, I'm not including if we have asbestos or lead issues that we need to be dealt with. Just the construction stuff. We looked at the plumbing. We see an easy path to do that. We got a plan for the ramps that is laid out in the blueprints you have. My goal is not more than 50,000, less than that. We have the money if we want to spend it once the post office vacates. So I understand there's moving parts here, and but I think it's the post office lease being up gives us an opportunity to give this place a facelift that I think is badly overdue. So is there, what's that?
Trying to get an ADA compliant.
And I mean, look, the ADA issues, the judicial issues, it gives us some much needed office space that will allow us to better serve the town, whether it's code enforcement or Jen or the assessor. All of those things can be drastically improved It'll allow us to fix up that space. Then we can come back over here and do some work in here. So, I mean, I think I covered most of the issues that I think. I mean, ultimately, it is not the town's responsibility. In my opinion, it's not the town's responsibility to provide space for the post office. I don't know. I'm not aware of other town halls that have the post office in the town hall. So, if somebody's aware of one, I'm not. And I think it's time. I've talked to a lot of people about it. I think it's time to let the lease expire, but I want them to know about it now, and hopefully that they will come up with a resolution that the town will be happy with. They'll see what we're doing here and say, yeah, that was probably the right call. So, but
Didn't the post office also say the mailboxes could stay out back? Right?
as far as I'm concerned, they can.
Right,
Yeah.
the
If-
mailboxes
if-
can stay out
But
there.
I can't have that discussion about the mechanics of it until like we're all on, at least we have a resolution about, okay, let's go in this direction. I feel like it's kind of a waste of time if we're not gonna, I mean, the lease is gonna expire whether we do anything or not. I guess if unless somebody wants to make a resolution to accept a new lease, I mean, that, of course, you guys could do that for sure. But I think on balance, I think it's the right way to go. But I'm open,
So it would have to be-
I'm open to discussion about it for
So
sure.
what would happen? People that have post mailboxes in here, they gotta come get your mail every day. How would they get your mail?
The post office is responsible for solving that problem, not us. I'm not gonna pretend to run the postal service.
Right.
Right there.
And I know
everywhere they can
for-
go, right on 281, that little store that's been vacant for years and years, that
I have heard some decent recommendations of where they could go. Ultimately, it is way beyond the scope of this discussion.
but they
It's
would
way,
find a place
way
to
outside
go.
of our
right.
power and authority.
I
And
agree.
Coral
They'll find
Road
a
is
place.
going to
I'm
get
against
delivery.
Building like where it is. If you got another building up the town hall with the highway garage, why not fix that up? Put your
Oh,
offices
the
right
highway
up there.
garage.
You've got land up there.
Our
This-
offices?
This, all
Wait.
you have is what you want. Never mind, I'm talking. And, okay, there's building right up there. Why not take use of that building right up there? Jeff said it's rotten, all this. The town hall used to meet up there. We didn't have it here. This was a school. And this was approved, partial approved as a historical building, the way it is right now.
I'm not talking about changing the historical nature of the town hall at all.
When you're putting all this stuff in, it changes.
I'm not putting anything, I'm not adding anything. We're just
I still
other
need
than
the post
ADA
office here.
ADA
Where am I
compliance.
gonna get my mail?
Betty Ann, that is
Where am
for,
I getting my mail? Do I need to go to New York or someplace else? They don't have a road route down this way.
it is not the town's responsibility
But
to
I'm
provide
asking you,
space
you're
for a
kicking
post
them out,
office.
and where are we gonna have it? The
I'm not
post office
kicking them
been
out.
there for years,
The
ever
post-
since we got this building for $1 from Homer School. And I'm not the only one feels this way.
I understand. That's why I wanted to have a board discussion about it sooner rather than later, so that we know what we're gonna do going forward.
I mean, what's the alternate? Build another building? What's the cost on
2
something like
million?
that?
More?
Where you want it.
Cost you a lot more. to Fix that
I like-
building down there.
I like this building. I want it to be for the town. And I want it, I don't want a new town hall. I like this town hall. My grandmother went to school, started going to school here in 33 or 34 or something like that. So,
Who was your grandmother? Twyman?
well, yeah,
Yes, she knew my mother. Well, we've got empty buildings where the post office can go. Now, there's that one that was Uncle Tom's, and then there's the one that Betty Ann they could go over there.
like I said,
So we don't have to worry.
I hope that proves true. I absolutely do.
And I
But they're not-
absolutely
but they're not
agree with
looking.
the ADA needs to be here, access.
But they're
You've got
not.
it out there with that lift. We put that lift in.
It's
out
not
there.
ADA compliant,
And
Betty Ann.
what you need is a door on the outside that automatically opens where they can push the button that opens, because you can't do it that way.
But
The lift is not ADA compliant, the bathrooms aren't ADA compliant, and we don't have a ramp. That's
That
why I
we
had
use.
that's why I had the engineer here, to make sure that I had a good understanding of what needed to happen to make it ADA compliant. And it was also suggested to me, he said, if you wanna clean things up in here and you wanna spend any money, we better be doing it to make it ADA compliant. And I said, you're absolutely right. But I was concerned it was gonna cost an amount of money that we weren't comfortable with. Under 50,000 is an amount that I am comfortable with. So to make the changes. So
Seems
I
like a
understand.
lot of work for $50,000.
It's not.
Yeah.
I'll show it to you. I have
Now where
the
you're-
plumbing. The bathroom goes in the front corner.
mhm.
We are. I mean, it's not a lot of work.
You talked about
I found this exact ramp we need for $5,000 on Facebook.
you talked about Jen's office and
enforcement.
historian's office, and
Possibly.
code enforcement.
Yeah.
So those aren't on here, right?
No, I don't think they are. The primary goal would be to clean up the space, get the bathroom in, get the ramp in, and then we'll say, okay, where did our costs come in with our projections? And what do we want to do next? It's not a package. It's not a whole package deal of everything that I can think of that we might want to do here. It's just, it would be the first step to, creating a more usable space for the town. So also I have, I reached out to an asbestos survey guy. He said not more than, the asbestos survey is not more than $6,500 based on the size of the building that I described. And so obviously, that's another step, but that's what I was talking about, just the renovation cost and the ramp costs and stuff like that. That's where I was, and the engineer that I met with, he doesn't just design this stuff. He's done some of these things. He's built some of these things. So he has a good understanding of what material costs and labor costs. Do I need to learn more about the whether we got to do prevailing wage and who can bid on it? And yeah, that stuff is all like down the road. This is more about, do we want to let the post office lease expire and get to the next phase of this, And so we would have to get actual RFPs, So.
Right.
Will the historical society let us do the renovations?
But this is not a designated historic site.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about changing
No.
the character or the architecture.
Spend $6,500.
Other than the bathrooms become offices and we get a new bathroom. I guess that's, it's not structural. I mean, the chimneys were taken down because the roof leaked so bad. The chimneys were taken down several years ago, down to this level, and there's no reason they can't be taken down to this level.
And removed.
We just got to throw the bricks out the window. It's to open those bathrooms up and make them actually a little more usable for like the file room I talked about, or the I don't know, the historian's office, whatever. It's all up for ongoing discussion. But like I said, this is like, we got to decide if we love the post office where it is and you guys want to renew it, I understand. But I said my piece in what I think we should do, but it's all of our decision. So,
So if the asbestos things come back negative at that point, we don't move forward with the renovations.
you mean if well, we would have to evaluate if there was asbestos that we needed to deal with, then we would have to we would get an estimate of remediation, and then we'd have to decide at that point, do we want to keep going, right? Or is this more than we want to spend?
Would the guy think about the asbestos? Did he see it being a problem? The guy that came to engineer?
He hasn't done the survey. He comes and takes samples of everything he can think
I
of.
don't know, but the guy, the engineer came in, did he see any problems that he thought might be an issue because of that? Or?
No, we didn't talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
he's not an asbestos guy.
Right.
So, but I have a guy that does that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just said, hey, like, I got to tell him something. How much is this going to cost? He didn't look at the building, but he said it not more than $6,500 to do the survey. I wouldn't even want to guess what the cost would be for abatement, because it's all over the map. It depends on what it is. If it's in the mastic in the flooring, that's different than it is on the shingles. Are we ripping the roof? It's not. He said that was for, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said shingles, because he said it was an interior survey only, because we were just talking about, adding a bathroom and taking that bathroom out, right? So it was all an interior discussion. We didn't talk about the exterior at all. So I should clarify that.
Can I ask a question? How soon would they, assuming that it would be approved, that the ADA regulations would be followed here, which I think they should be, how soon would they be able to do that? Because I think that our people who have first of all, I think there's a sign out there that says the lift is for packages and not, that's all. In other words, not humans. I think that we should accommodate people who have problems. That's how we ended up voting in the church.
I wouldn't speak for anybody that we were going to hire to do the work. I just wouldn't do that. We would want to know. We would want to communicate to the post office that this is going to happen. It's up to them to figure out what they're going to do.
Right. I don't care about the post office. I'm just
I'm saying
the
time. That's where the ramp goes.
Yeah.
The ramp leads into that space. That's how we get
and
in.
the handicap accessible bathroom.
Yeah, correct. So it's part of the same.
Yes.
Cart before the horse.
You can do the ramp even if everybody's still arguing maybe about the rest.
Yeah. So, like I said, we had to have this discussion to decide what we want to do. It's April. The post office lease is expiring regardless.
What? November?
I think November 1st.
November 1st.
So,
We need to give them notice.
So it's fair to them to give them as much notice as possible. I mean, do we absolutely have to take action? Nope. But it is going to expire. And if there is a motion to continue it, to re-up the lease, or like, I would be a no on that. But that's up for all of us to.
So, I mean, before we told them no, wouldn't we want to get this asbestos evaluation done?
We can. I mean, if you want to authorize that up to $6,500 to get the survey done.
And backing up too, I think $800 is way too cheap for the lease of that. If we did move forward,
I absolutely
we'd have
agree.
to go up.
I absolutely agree on that too. But like, we got to decide which way we're going to go.
Right.
So, I mean, if you want to if you guys want to authorize what we're talking about,
I mean,
I know some of that stuff. My understanding is some of that has been dealt with in the past. I can't give you details or reports.
What has done?
Some of there was stuff that has.
behind this paneling, I'm sure there's some lead paint.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But he does the lead paint. He does the asbestos testing. So.
But they, when we had I talked to you about this, before we throw the post office out, and then we throw the post office out, and then we can't afford to do renovations. So to me, that doesn't make any sense. We need to know what the cost of these renovations are. So we need the asbestos, we need the lead, we need all that stuff in place before we can make a decision on throwing out the post
I agree with
office.
that.
I couldn't spend that kind of money without
Right.
having some direction from you guys. So I think he told me he would do it by the end of the week to take the survey. If we had an authorization to get the asbestos survey,
So,
that's the lab test.
so it comes back bad. Can they condemn the building?
No, because there's.
But it's still a problem. No,
It's
it's still a problem.
It's everywhere.
Well,
I
the
know,
thing, if it's not disturbed, you don't have to worry about it. So once you start construction and disturbing then you have to remove it. So if it stays exactly like it is,
Yeah.
there's no problem.
One way the county, actually, public safety building fixed their lead paint and stuff. They put a drop seal in it.
Problem solved.
Yeah,
That's
no,
got-
really,
it
that's what they
disappeared.
did.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't fix the problem, but
Mhm.
it's considered fixed.
Yeah.
So we do have other agenda items. So we're not gonna spend-
So if we want to move forward with this, we need to make a motion to do this testing, right?
If-
Ron?
That's fine. We can do that and reevaluate it in a month. And he says, hey, maybe he says, I didn't really find anything, or I found this little thing. And then if whatever he does find that needs professional attention, I'll just get a quote. It doesn't tie us to anything. I'll just get a
Mhm.
quote, or 2 or 3, whatever.
Mhm.
And then we would have much clearer. Like I said, what I was going over with the engineer was strictly from the construction side, not right. So in our estimation of what needed to happen for a ramp and a new bathroom, that was the extent of it.
So the guy that comes in and does the inspection for the asbestos, would he have a number of what it's going to take to get rid of it?
No, that would be the next step.
It's
where
just,
I would.
all he's going to tell us is we got.
He
a
says
problem,
you've
don't
got
have
it
a
here, here, and here, and he may have a recommendation who to call. I don't know, but it's a separate contract.
Okay.
There's a separate contractor that does the work and that does the surveys. In my experience. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I mean,
Guess what I want to know what the whole thing's gonna cost.
the whole.
Well, I mean, say there's asbestos in it. Cost $30,000 to get it all out or something.
Yep.
There goes our $50,000 shot right in the ass right
That's
there.
why
Then we're done.
That's exactly why I.
So that's why
accepted
they've got to do get the asbestos abatement done. Get it figured out what that's gonna cost.
Right.
And
that's
then
fine.
move on from there.
How
I mean,
quick
if-
can he do that? Can he do that before the next meeting?
Yes,
Said within a week. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
he said he would take the lab. He would get the samples by the end of the week, and it takes.
So
2
at
weeks,
that point,
maybe.
it comes back that it's not good. Can we have an estimate done by
Sure.
the next meeting?
As long as I
Okay.
get the lab results in time to know what we're dealing with, and then I send the survey to the contractors and get 2 or 3
bids.
2 or 3 bids. Yeah.
Okay. So you need a resolution for to do the asbestos.
Do the survey.
Do the asbestos survey. So I'll make a motion to conduct a asbestos and lead survey.
Second.
All in
Would
favor?
would that also include moving forward with an estimate too? You
Oh,
need that?
Yeah, he doesn't need.
I don't need board approval for
Yeah,
that.
just to spend the money. Yeah.
1 second.
Do you have an idea? You should have a not to exceed amount if they're authorizing you to spend the money to do this.
I would say 7,000 because he gave me the high end of 6,500, but that was interior only. So
So
Yeah.
to authorize
Not to exceed $7,000.
authorize him to obtain the asbestos testing.
We don't need to.
Not exceeding 7,000.
We don't need to do the exterior though.
no, we're not, that's the right point. Yeah, I'm just being clear of what
Just redo
the estimate he
motion.
gave me.
Redo the motion. So
Or
make
amend
a
it, yeah.
make a motion to go ahead with asbestos and lead testing not to exceed $7,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next up, monies received. I'm sorry, Jen.
USPS $779.
And we're gonna approve the general and highway bills.
Make a motion to pay general fund vouchers abstracts number 4, numbers 54 to 74, totaling $13,845.63.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers abstract number 4, numbers 23 to 34, totaling $10,273.52.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Um, yeah, we will, yeah,
We going doing anything else?
just the public comments.
Okay.
That concludes this evening's agenda. Does anybody in the audience have anything they want to talk about?
I'm gonna make a comment. Let me make a comment.
Yes, Janet.
So I was helping to hand out the our food pantry things last month. Thank you, Mike. And one of the things was the Preble United collection for the Easter basket stuff. Adorable, just adorable. And I will tell you, I've been here 40 years and I don't remember this happening before. But the amount of things that were there for the colorful Easter colored of the baskets and then the donations, it was ever so nice.
Thank you.
Thank
Terry.
you all of you.
Just a question to follow up on the post office thing. What's the time frame of the current lease? Is that a 10-year lease?
It's
or
5.
5-year lease?
Yeah.
One thing that you might want to consider is trying to negotiate maybe just a 1 or 2 year lease to buy you some time while you're still getting your act together in terms of working numbers.
And
Because
increase the rent.
I agree with what's being said, that you don't want to throw out the only income that you've got coming into this building until you have an idea what your expenses are going to be to rectify it and what you're going to end up with after the fact.
I agree.
They probably should know that, what could possibly happen too, so they have a chance to look somewhere else other than.
That's why I wanted to talk about it now.
Right.
And at least have a plan of attack to be able to tell them. I don't see any reason we couldn't take action in May based on the conversations we've just had. I don't see any reason we couldn't do that. I think I can get that done. So, anybody else?
So could the post office just choose to leave Preble? I mean, and not
I-
offer
I-
that service?
I don't know
I mean,
what
I just am
obligation they
wondering what
have.
the community, I don't use it, so it's not an issue for me, but
I don't know what obligation they have.
I mean, it seems like you might want to know that in terms of making the decision for the community.
I don't, well,
I don't know.
it's, like I said, how the post office is gonna handle it is so beyond our,
Authority.
I don't even know that I would be able to get a straight answer, let alone know what the answer is. But
They could close tomorrow if they wanted to.
there's nothing, right, exactly, yeah, they absolutely could, and it has, there's post offices closing and not because the town did anything, they just,
Right, so I
they
would
just
think that
closed
if
it.
we,
Yeah,
didn't renew their lease, that would be the way that we
Yeah.
go, just in
It
terms of
certainly-
their financial situation.
it certainly could go that way, it certainly could.
No, he just said something. Yeah.
Anybody else? Oh, yes.
I just want to mention, I did stop and talk to Kathy and Lou Scott today. They're all set for this month's giveaway, other than they're 28 paper towels short. And I told them we probably could get that for them. So
28 what?
paper towels.
I'll help you with
They
that.
need a few more things.
I know couple people got the Kleenex and toilet papers today and yesterday.
I'll help with
But
the
yeah,
paper
we'll
towels.
we'll make sure they get the 28 paper
That's all
towels.
that's left.
All right, thank you very much.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Oh, no, you can't. Your favorite. That's the bathroom.
Okay, versus here, okay. Okay.
So this is the ramp.
Yep, I got that.
And that door stays there. We'll keep the overhead door for furniture, files, whatever has to come in and out. There's no reason to get rid of the overhead door back there.
So where would Jen's office be in this?
Because that's why I laughed. Well, I can,
That's a,
well,
that's
I'll
up for
work with
discussion.
you,
There's,
you know what, and I'll